You want to check out some sleepers?
Yeah.
I've been holding on to some receivers since the last sleeper video we did, thinking that we would do another one. I think I've got a pretty good batch for you. I've also got a set of speakers. Some of these receivers I've never seen before. Eric and I are going to hang out. We're going to throw some of these receivers up on the bench. We might actually give some of these an audio test just to see if we can hear any differences. This isn't going to be a controlled A/B test or anything like that. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. Stick around. We're going to look at some receivers that we just don't see a lot. Skylabs, Sunday morning. Sit back. Here we go. Design Acoustics. They look 90s to me. These are a really cool design though. It's got a 10-inch woofer downfiring. It says that they're pretty flat, but I don't know if they're able to achieve those results. Design Acoustics, an Audio-Technica company. I didn't notice that. Oh, and this is cool too. It's kind of got a foam front, kind of like Advent Maestros. Advent Maestros kind of have that foam feel on the front of them. Those are really great speakers too, by the way. Ohio is where these were made. It says made in the USA. They are 90 dB efficient at 8 ohms. Decent build. This is vinyl wrap. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't that impressed with these. I think when you first look at them, you think that's the weirdest floor speaker I've ever seen in my life. I don't think these are intended to be on the floor. I think they would sound horrible. We put them up on stands and used them like bookshelf speakers. And I did do just a tiny little bit of reading online. If there were any attributes, people tend to like their imaging or their sound stage, and I thought they were just kind of boring. We are going to hook up some of the receivers to these speakers, so we'll be able to get Eric's opinion too, see if he liked them. I mean, that even at a quarter of the way up, this thing is, there's plenty of power in a 20 watt per channel receiver, no question. I mean, I'm barely up a quarter of the way, so. I mean, it sounds great. Nothing's jumping at me, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds really good. It sounds like a 70s solid state receiver. So let's pop this thing open. Let's see what's going on the inside. And we did do some LEDs on this one. We do LEDs on all of them. It cleans it up a lot. The incandescents are, you know, they kind of have a yellowing effect to them, where it just looks a lot cleaner. And, you know, for the people out there that don't like LEDs, sorry. I go for longevity. It's better for the receiver because they don't get as warm. You know, there's people out there that just explode when you talk about LEDs. And, you know, it's not original, it's not the way it was intended. Well, you know, there's a lot of things that have changed over the years that got improved. And you're not damaging it by putting LEDs in it. You know, they're simple to change out. If you want to go back to incandescents, it's just nothing I would get heated over. It's nothing worth fighting over. They're just LEDs. Money shot. Oh, would you look at that?
Oh, would you look at that? Just look at that.
So yeah, here's your, you know, your LEDs. And these probably just, yeah, they're still using the same boot that the incandescent used. Looks like standardized transistors to me. You got your power supply back here. I know last time we did this, I was touching stuff and it was freaking people out, and, you know, maybe exercise caution with yours. So we got power supply, you got your amplifier board back here. I mean, this looks like a regular average 70s receiver. There's not anything that's jumping out as like, holy cow, they cut a bunch of corners, or this is cheap crap. I've seen a lot worse.
Does it have a particle board bottom?
This is metal. The back plate on it is metal. You got, you know, tape input, auxiliary phono, your usual stuff. So I like the look a lot. I don't think they cut any corners. The knobs are really nice. It's kind of like a a brushed aluminum.
Oh, those are nice.
They're nice. Yeah, this isn't a cheap unit. Again, you know, just because you maybe have never come across a Sherwood from this era, I wouldn't look past it. You're going to be passing up on a really well-made receiver from the 70s. I would not be disappointed with this in my house at all. All right, I'm going to button this one back up and we'll see what else we got. We just got our record carriers. Are these called record carriers?
Record totes.
Record tote, that's a better word. These were printed here, same people that does our shirt. They turned out really cool. I like them a lot. If you're one of those people that likes to go out record shopping, do us a solid. Take one of these with you and tell people to go watch the channel. Definitely appreciate it. 20 bucks, highlabsaudio.com/shop. Grab yourself a tote. You got one, don't you?
Yeah.
Eric's got one. Be like Eric.
Be like me.
And so this next one is a Studio Standard by Fisher. This is a 1015. Good friend 2Times Tony let us borrow it for the video. We don't get a lot of Fishers come through the store, even though I'm pretty sure they sold a ton of these. These might have been sold through Sears. I know a lot of the models will say Sears by Fisher. This one's only 15 watts per channel, so even less than the Sherwood we just looked at. And this thing sounds really good too. Yeah, pretty impressive. You know, for a 15 watt per channel receiver, you know, even at 90 dB efficient, there's plenty of power in that 15 watts. And this thing sounds good. It's got your normal, you know, aux, AM, FM, phono. You got one tape monitor, so that'd be a second line input. And then your usual bass, treble, balance. This is maybe another entry level to midline. You know, at 15 watts per channel, I doubt they had anything lower than this. I'm gonna pop the top off. We'll take a look and see what's going on the inside. So kind of an empty box. There's one red flag on this, and that would be these outputs. You know, these are those Darlington style or those STK packs we've talked about several times on the channel. If one of those goes bad, you're going to be at the mercy of eBay, either finding used ones that are decent or checking to see if somebody's made a new version of these output packs that will work with this amplifier. So that's probably the biggest red flag looking inside of this unit. Transformer looks good. These are the amplifier boards, which are pretty small, but that doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that they're small. And that's a simple design.
You can almost store a pair of shoes in these.
Right, definitely on the empty box side of things. Do we have, oh, we have a wood bottom on this one. So not metal. At least it's a thick piece of wood and not just a piece of cardboard. But there might be some more boards under there. There has to be, because I don't see a phono board. This is the FM section here. So on the other side of there is probably tone control, power supply, and the phono board. It doesn't look like anything's been done on the inside at all, because these all look factory, like factory capacitors. That's definitely a factory capacitor, because a modern value of this capacitor would be tiny in comparison. I'll go grab one. It is a nice cap though. It looks like a niche. Yeah, it's a Nichicon. At least they were using quality parts. Those blue ones are kind of suspect, but so this would be a modern equivalent, and this is a Nichicon too. So there you go. The one thing about Fishers that I've come across though is a lot of time the silk screening on the front of these is really fragile. You just want to be really careful when you're cleaning a Fisher faceplate, because a lot of times you see them and they're missing letters and numbers around the volume and the balance knobs. And if you see that, you don't want to use anything aggressive to clean it. You know, it's almost like you're kind of stuck with what dirt's on that, because if you get water or anything on there, those letters and numbers just like to fall right off the faceplate. So
Can't replace those.
can't replace those. I've seen Sanyos, Techniques, or Technics, however you say it, in your part of the world, with the same issues in their entry-level lines. Quite a few Fishers and Realistics have that issue as well. So we got two more for you. We're kind of getting low on time here. We've been running outside to watch the eclipse. Next one is an Onkyo, not the most rare piece out there. TX 2500. These were made in 1978. It's a 40 watt per channel receiver. They actually made a 1500 as well. And this is the Mark II. I really like these a lot. We did an LED modification on this one in that we changed the color of it. And I've done this before, and they sell super fast when you put light blue LEDs in these. Originally they're incandescent, so they kind of have a yellow look to them, and they look great too, but you put blue in these, it gets people's attention. I usually don't change colors in receivers. A lot of times it doesn't look good. I think 99% of the LEDs we install are bright white or warm white. So this is with the blue lights.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, it really changes it. It gives it a little bit more, I don't know.
And it still looks vintage.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think it confuses some people, but they don't have an auxiliary input. They just actually have two tape inputs. You don't get an auxiliary, but there's no difference. It's line levels. These things sound great. They really do. I like these units a lot. I think they kind of have an interesting look all to themselves with the smoked plastic in the front. A lot of times you end up seeing these though, and they're cracked. You know, they didn't get stored properly, or they didn't get shipped properly, one of the two. Same thing, you know, treble, bass, balance, loudness, high pass filter, you know, your phono, AM, FM. It's not as much of a sleeper as some of the other ones on here, but you don't see them as much as you do Pioneer, Marantz, Sansui, that type of thing, but we do get them. And this range, we've had the 8500, which is, I believe, the flagship one. And those are big boy receivers. They're pretty cool, and they kind of command a presence. I'm gonna take the screws out and we'll see what we got going on the inside here. Yep, big heat sink. Those output transistors might be a little bit troublesome to replace. They kind of look like bat wings, but they're not. I don't know. I'd have to ask Rob if those are still available, but as far as anything problematic, not really. I mean, it is kind of an empty box. You got a pretty big board here, and this can be an issue too if there's a lot of heat involved, because big boards start to bend and bow from heat, and then you get hairline cracks in your solder traces and that kind of thing. Don't have any issues with this one. You got your amplifier board here. I would imagine the power supply is probably this board underneath. It's your standard 70s receiver. This has the same quality as any of the other, you know, big manufacturers this time. So yeah, just a really cool looking receiver. The knobs actually they kind of feel a little cheap, not gonna lie.
Plastic.
They're just cheap plastic. And you see how the paints kind of come out of the power. This is another one you have to watch out for when you clean the faceplate, because the silk screening on them is not the best, and it doesn't take a lot to start pulling that off. Anyway, if you can pick up a Onkyo TX Mark II series, you won't be disappointed. Yeah, they're good. All right, this next one, we actually have two of, which is crazy because I had one of these 4 or 5 years ago, and I haven't seen another one since. And then in the last month, we got 2 of them in. This one, we've already gone through and done everything we do to all of the receivers before they go out. This one is still factory stock. You know, even the first one I got, I did this modification where you can see this window kind of goes around the tuning knob, and they have 3 lamps in here, and it doesn't really illuminate this bottom part. So what I did, even with the first one I got, I actually did it in green, and if we have photos, they'll be up. But I installed a light right here, and then that way it also shows the bottom part of this window. So, you know, this one's factory, that's with the factory lamps, the incandescents. And then I'll power on this one. And we did the bottom one in orange. And I think it looks good. The green looked good too. Maybe we'll do this one in green, but that's with the orange, and that's with the extra lamp. So that way you can kind of tell that the window actually wraps all the way around the tuning knob.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, this looks okay. It's just kind of boring. You know, there's not much of a difference powered on or powered off. I mean, I'm sure it'd look good in almost any color, you know, but I just wanted to try orange. So that's what we did. And the Akai AA1150 was manufactured between 1978 and 1979. This is a 40 watt per channel receiver. I've never had any other model in this series besides the 1150. I don't know if this is a midline or an entry-level receiver, but they're nice. There's no question. And you know, again, it's the same kind of setup. You've got balance, volume, loudness, stereo. You have auxiliary 2-tape inputs, bass and treble, and you've got individual controls for bass and treble. You know, it seemed like by 78 and 79, most manufacturers had gotten away from having individual tone controls for left and right. Looks like Akai decided to stick with it, and I'm not sure why. I don't know why you'd want to, you know, increase the treble just in the right speaker as opposed to the left. I'm gonna pop the top off here.
It's not an empty box.
It's not an empty box. You've got your power supply kind of in this area, and then your amplifier board all on one board here. Tone controls down there. Yeah, I really like these. Again, I don't really hear anything that's like, oh my God, that sounds so much better than the last ones we listened to, but it sounds great. It sounds awesome.
I don't think those speakers sound too bad either.
I think these speakers sound better here than they do out there on the stands. Yeah. And I don't know if it's, you know, just too big of an area for them out there. They sound a lot better in a more of a controlled environment. Again, you know, nice faceplate, nice knobs. These kind of reminds me of Yamaha with these kind of wafer type selectors. A little bit more polished and chromy than Yamaha, but these are really cool. And they're really undervalued.
And they've got that crazy window around the tuning knob.
Yeah. Really appreciate you watching another video. Thank you very much. Definitely hit the like, subscribe, share it with a friend. If you've got a sleeper that you think everybody should be out looking for, put it in the comments. We definitely appreciate that. And we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Thanks.
See ya.